Hey everyone, today we're going to be revisiting the Axiom Pack from Triple Aught Design. And this was really exciting for me, first off because I really enjoyed the previous edition of this bag, so I was curious to see the layout and sizing updates that the company had made, but also because this is the Black Magic edition of the bag that comes in Ultra. It's my first experience with this fabric that seems to be everywhere nowadays. I've heard so many great things about it, so I was very curious to try it out, see what it felt like, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the experience of using this over the past couple of weeks. I'll show you how I've loaded it out, walk through all the features, and I'll also talk about how it compares to some of the other similar bags that are currently on the market. Before jumping into the video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the overall aesthetic, to me the Axiom lineup has always had kind of a subdued but still functional or maybe slightly tactical vibe. Not overtly tactical in the way that some of Triple Aught Design's other bags could be, where they have more webbing along the exterior. So, this has always been a little more minimal, kind of Evergoods-like, but this version feels even more streamlined and minimal. So to me, that just adds to the versatility. It looks like a pretty simple backpack that's gonna blend in well into a lot of different environments. It's got a slightly kind of sleek, techie look, I guess you could say. Reminds me almost of like a Evergoods and Bellroy cross, but not so much so that it'll draw a ton of attention, just still really streamlined, and I think this is something that's gonna work great in an urban setting for taking into the office or for traveling. As far as the materials, in my experience, Triple Aught Design tends to use pretty premium fabrics and they always feel really solidly built. I've tried some of their X-Pack bags and I still really like X-Pack as a fabric, but it feels like they've taken it to the next level with the Black Magic edition that I have here that uses Challenge Sailcloth's Ultra 400 fabric. And this is my first experience with this fabric. I've heard a ton about it. A lot of bags are starting to use this and it seems like it just manages to blend a lot of great benefits. So it is pretty lightweight, it is very durable, abrasion resistance, tear resistant, and it also offers waterproofing up to 200 PSI, which sounds really intense, probably more than what I would typically need for most of my use cases, but seems like a really cool space age fabric. And so far the experience has been great. It feels very durable. And I would try to compare this to Dyneema, which I've also had a little bit of experience with, and so far I like this better. It doesn't have as much crinkle to it. I like that even though this has a little bit of texture, the overall aesthetic is just more to my liking. It's got kind of an almost grid-like pattern, and the Ultra bags that I've seen seem to have kind of a matte black or almost grayish coloring, and so that's definitely the case here. And it's felt very durable. I dumped a bunch of water on it. I was very impressed with how nothing came through, so really kind of living up to what it's saying it can do so far. Very excited to kind of continue to use this over a little bit of a longer term to see how it ages, but so far it feels very, very sturdy, and given all the features of the bag, it manages to stay fairly lightweight. I think it's a little over 2 pounds. So just a really interesting fabric, feels very premium. And then beyond the Ultra fabric itself, you have the really nice aqua guarded YKK zippers all throughout. Continuing along the outside of the bag, things are pretty minimal. There's not a lot of pocketing. There's no external water bottle pockets. There's not a lot of webbing. You just have some hidden webbing here, kind of in this gusseted area. You have a couple of rows where you can maybe clip on something with a carabiner. It's gonna look a little funky, I think, to clip something on like my hand sanitizer, a hero clip. This might be a good spot for something like a bike light. And then it's just kind of out of the way, very clean if you don't want to use it. So a pretty interesting idea there. No sort of branding to be seen along the front. Very, very minimal. Triple Aught Design doesn't have external water bottle pockets on this bag. They do have a pocket on the side, which we'll take a look at later in the video, but just really minimal. And then at the top, you have pretty nice carrying handle here. It's got a durable feeling webbing. It's not the most padded handle, but it gets the job done. And then one interesting thing while we're talking about kind of the exterior, the zipper pulls are a little bit different depending on the section of the bag that you're in, just to make it a little bit easier to identify which pocket you're trying to reach. So that's something they did with the previous edition of this, which I thought was an interesting idea. The zipper pulls can feel a little bit small. Sometimes it feels like I'm gonna break them if I pull too hard, but that's just due to the size. Haven't had any issues whatsoever with them, however. And then the last thing I'll call out while we're talking about the outside is how well this bag manages to stand up on its own, which is really surprising given how it kind of tapers downward and it's a fairly slim bag at the bottom. This may be due to the fact that the Ultra fabric holds its shape pretty well. Of course, if I were to remove the laptop and everything got a little bit heavier on the front, it'll start to tip, so that's something to keep in mind. But again, just considering how slim this is, so far I've been able to pretty consistently place this down next to me and easily access the pockets when I need to. As far as the capacity, the bag comes in at about 19 liters, which is a really nice daily bag size in my opinion, maybe slightly smaller than what I typically like to use. I was a little sad that they moved away from the 24-liter size that the previous edition of the Axiom was. To me, that's always really the sweet spot, but I know that for some people that can be a little big, so I think that 19 liters still manages to provide enough space for the majority of things that I would want to carry with me without feeling overwhelmingly tight. And then I like that this bag has always had a really slim profile, so even when it's packed out, it manages to hug your bag nicely, making it really great for navigating crowded areas, jumping onto public transit, and carrying onto pretty much any domestic or international airline. Taking a look at the harness system, so far the bag has been really comfortable to wear. I like how the straps have been implemented here. They have a really nice padding that's comfortable right out of the box. It feels very robust. On the inside, you have this mesh that's going to provide a nice amount of breathability. The straps have a good width to help prevent the bag from digging into your shoulders when it's a little bit more packed out. They also have this nice curve at the top, so it's a really great fit for me. And you also have the load lifters to allow you to kind of tweak how the bag rests on your shoulders and to allow you to pull that weight closer to you. And then you also have an adjustable and removable sternum strap to help distribute the weight. A couple of final notes on the straps. You do have some strap management around the load lifters, but the straps themselves are quite long, so it can still feel a little bit messy. I know some people prefer to have a cleaner look with their straps. The bottom straps don't have any sort of strap management included. They don't feel like they have a ton of length either, so if you're maybe somebody who needs to really take the full length of the straps, you might start to feel it be a little bit tight. And then the other thing to call out, and I noticed this with the previous edition of the Axiom and just with bags that have load lifters in general, I think this is part of the reason why I'm not always a huge fan of load lifters, is that when you have them engaged, you have this sort of shape that gets created that can make it tough to just quickly put the bag down and away somewhere. If I'm traveling and I want to put the bag under the seat, I kind of have to loosen up the load lifters sometimes or mess with them to be able to get the straps to lay flat. So maybe just more of a nitpick for me, but something worth mentioning. And then moving into the back paneling, this has also been really comfortable. This has been improved from the previous edition. I really like the foam that's used here along with the mesh. It just, very well distributed, tons of comfort all throughout your back. You also have great amount of elevation here to create this large air channel to provide plenty of airflow while you're walking around throughout the day. So, even as I've been wearing this for a longer period of time in the hotter weather, it does a better job than most of not only being comfortable, but preventing me from getting as sweaty as quickly. And then one last note while we're here on the back panel is that it would have been really nice to have some sort of a luggage pass-through. Although this is a very comfortable bag to wear, if you're traveling with an additional piece of luggage, it's always nice to be able to rest your backpack on there. I know that this doesn't seem to come standard in a lot of the bags in this category. Notice the same thing with GoRucks. Evergood's only recently started to add it, and so hopefully more of these bags start to incorporate it because they're such great travel companions, but when it comes to resting them on the suitcase, it can always be a little bit of a clunky experience. Jumping into the organizational options, the bag has a nice variety of pockets all throughout. Starting off at the top, you have a quick access pocket, well-protected zipper here. This is always one of my favorite types of pockets as I'm reaching down regularly to grab the items from here throughout the day. And so you have a good amount of space. It's not overwhelmingly big, but it has enough volume to handle what I would normally want to store here. So just tossed in a flashlight there, kind of at the top. I have my AirPods in here. And I also have my Randolph sunglasses, and so this is one of the bulkier sunglasses cases that I have. It's a hard case, and so it can take up a good amount of space, but it was able to fit in there. They also have this nice material on the inside. It's kind of this stretchy, soft material, so if you don't use a case with your sunglasses, there will be some protection, and it also just has a little more give than what the previous edition of the bag had here. So it's a more useful compartment, very simple, but definitely something that I really like having as part of the bag. And then moving down, there is kind of an admin area that has some good internal organization. This has been updated from the previous edition. Before, Triple Aught Design did have an admin area like this, but it wasn't a full length compartment. It didn't go all the way to the bottom of the bag. It kind of stopped halfway. So I really like that change here to give you just some extra flexibility and really emphasize the top-down nature of being able to reach down and grab stuff. They previously had a pocket on the bottom of the bag, and it was a cool idea where you could swing it around, unzip, and grab something quickly, but it wasn't something that I used that much, so I think that this is a really good change. And so when the bag gets packed out, it can be tough to take full advantage of all the pockets that are offered here, but you can kind of pick and choose how you want to separate things out depending on your packing style. So on the lid, you have a taller slip pocket that provides a good bit of separation. At the moment, I just have my alpaca admin pouch in there, and I also have my Tom Bin Ghostwell pouch, and so there is some volume there, but because I had those items in the slip pocket, if I wanted to put something in the middle here, it would have started to get pretty tight. And then on the back, you have some nice built-in organization, a couple of slip pockets here. I have a backup pair of wired headphones, and then there's a couple of slots for something like a pen, a flashlight, stylus. Behind those, you have an additional slip pocket. These don't have a ton of elasticity, so again, as you start to use the different pockets, it all presses together, so you have to pick and choose what you store and where. And then you have one more zippered pocket here that's going to be great for any smaller, flatter items that you don't want getting lost. I have a field notes notebook in there. It has a good amount of depth, about the height of my hand. And in here you also have a D-ring. That's a good spot to pair with a carabiner for your keys or multi-tools that you want to store. It is a little bit more hidden, so if you're using it for your keys and you want to get there quickly, it's a couple of steps to get in there, but for me, nice to have, and I always have some sort of hero clip or carabiner multi-tool that I love to be able to pair with something like that. I mentioned earlier that the bag doesn't have traditional external water bottle pockets, but it does have a zippered pocket on the side that can work as a water bottle area. This is similar to the previous edition. I always like these style of pockets just because I feel like they provide some extra sort of versatility. If you don't carry a water bottle, you can store other items in here, and because it's zipped up, it just gives a little bit more protection. This compartment does have some volume to it, but it eats into the main area of the bag, so if you place something really bulky in here, it's going to take up some space, as we'll see in a second. And so to me, this is almost feels like it's tailor-made for something like a slim memo bottle. It just slides in there perfectly, and it's just very easy to get in and out of. It doesn't take up a ton of space in the main area. It still gives me the amount of water that I want to have with me during the day. And I like that this is a separate compartment, so even though it's in the main area, if there's any sort of a spill, it's going to prevent everything from getting wet. And then it's also just nice to have a separate area. If I'm going to the gym or something, I can put some dirty clothes in here, socks and things like that. And if not, I'll use it for either some pouches, chargers, maybe a small tripod. So, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do with this pocket. And then you can also use it for water bottles that aren't overly bulky. And then on the other side is another change from the previous edition. The Axiom that I used in the past had a dedicated laptop compartment. Here, the laptop sleeve is actually integrated into the main area of the bag. So that's something I'm never a huge fan of, just because I feel like it makes it a little bit tougher to get to your device when you need to. This strikes a pretty good balance. I can easily see my laptop and grab it when I need to. This also provides access to the main area without having to open up the clamshell all the way, which can be nice if there's something that I want to grab. But sticking with the laptop sleeve itself, this offers a good amount of padding, and this is meant to hold up to a 15 or 16 inch laptop according to Triple Aught Design site. I currently have a 14-inch MacBook Pro in here. You can see there is some leftover space. This opening here might be a little tricky with a taller laptop. With the 14-inch, it's fairly easy to get your device in and out. With 16 inches, it might be tricky, especially if the main compartment starts to get full, so something to keep in mind. But the sleeve is well padded. It's not suspended off the bottom of the ground, but it does feel like there's some padding there. It doesn't feel like my device is completely making contact with the ground. So although I always prefer the sleeve to be pulled up just for extra peace of mind, it's nice that there is at least something there. And then pulling my device out, now with the sleeve empty, you can get a better look at the inside. No sort of fleece lining or anything like that, but it does come up a decent amount. So if you have a thicker device or you want to use a case with your laptop, it'll probably be able to accommodate that. And again, with the amount of padding that's offered here and the nice frame sheet, even though it's not suspended off the bottom of the ground, it feels like my device is going to be pretty safe while I'm running around throughout the day. And then the last area that we're going to be taking a look at is the main compartment. And this does have pretty much a full clamshell style opening. The zippers go down and you can open this up nice and wide to allow you to easily see everything that you're organizing. And so fairly simple layout in this kind of bucket part of the compartment. And at 19 liters, it's a tighter fit than what I'm normally used to with the 23, 24 liter bags, but it's still able to accommodate my typical modular setup. And so diving into what I have here at the top, I have the Civic Access pouch 1/2 liter. I have my Beat Studio wireless headphones. I have the Evergood Civic Access pouch 1 liter. And then I also have the 2 liter down here at the bottom. And now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. Here, there is that side pocket that I was mentioning earlier. So as it fills up, it starts to take up some of the space here. And then on the other side, you can see the laptop sleeve, which it's not really practical to get your laptop when this area is open. It can be tricky, so it feels like you kind of have to use the external zipper, which, it hasn't been a huge deal, but it might have been nice to just have some way to grab it a little bit easier if you're already in this section. And then, even though this is a pretty slim bag, with this open layout, if I wanted to use this as a minimal travel bag, I could toss in my packing cube, a dop kit, probably squeeze in an extra pair of shoes and still be able to use this for a weekend trip. And then on the other side of the main area, you have a couple of taller pockets that, will be able to accommodate some pouches, bulkier accessories. I didn't use these because the pouches that I had in the main area were just a little bit too big, or it was starting to get a little bit difficult with the way that the space was getting distributed. So nice to have them, but if you don't want to use them, they just kind of stay out of the way. You have a taller slip pocket at the back, which, again, I didn't really use. And then you also have attachment points that you can pair with Triple Aught Design's ecosystem of modular accessories. They did send a couple of pouches for me to test out, and it's great that they have them in different sizes. They're in this X-Pack fabric that kind of matches the color of the inside here. They have, the well-protected zipper. The system that they use for attaching the pouches is quite interesting. I actually really like these clips. They're very secure, but they're, easier to handle in my opinion than like MOLLE webbing. I've never been a huge fan of, how cumbersome that can be. So I think that this works quite well. I always love being able to kind of mess around with the layouts on bags that are meant to have these sorts of ecosystems. So you have, just the one smaller pouch, one pocket, kind of like a pencil case, great for chargers, pens, pencils, tools. Then you have one that's got 2 compartments. So, pretty standard, but nice for keeping your stuff separated. On the inside, you have a couple of dividers. It could also be maybe almost like a little dop kit, actually. It's a great size for that. And then another larger, simpler pouch, 1 compartment. This is the one that I actually clipped onto the top of the bag here with a couple of chargers. I have my cable and my laptop brick. They fit in there easily, as well as my phone and tablet charger, and that's kept near the top so that if I need to reach in and grab those quickly, I can. And you do have the ability to clip it, in any orientation, so it might have actually been better to flip this around, pull it up. And this is something that I've always had fun with in the Tom Bin world with their ecosystem, and so great to see Triple Aught Design providing that level of modularity, which is always fun and will allow their systems to kind of meet a variety of different needs. So really like kind of the amount of space and the layout in this main area. and just how everything is set up throughout the bag. You know, it's interesting to see the changes from the previous edition. In general, I'm a little split on some of the changes. I think it was a great call to lose the zippered compartment at the bottom and make this full length. I do wish that there was still a dedicated laptop sleeve. And I also like that the previous edition had 2 side zippered pockets, so just providing an extra bit of flexibility. But I also understand the desire to just kind of continue to, you know, simplify, remove where possible. That also leads to probably some additional weight savings. And so there's always trade-offs with the design, but in general, I think it's still a really functional, useful bag, very, very durable. And, you know, if you're interested in a bag that has a very sleek appearance, you know, space-age fabrics, and that's gonna offer just a ton of comfort, this is gonna be a really interesting option to take a look at. And so to wrap up, it's been a great experience testing out the Axiom Pack over the past couple of weeks. You can currently purchase this on Triple Aught Design's site. They have it in a couple of different colors and fabrics. The version that I have here in Ultra is out of stock at the time of filming, so you want to keep an eye out for when they do a restock. And Triple Aught Design's bags in general come in at a more premium price point because they are assembled in the USA, they're made in smaller batches, and they do offer a lot of interesting functionality, premium materials, so you get a lot of value for the price point, but they are going to be, you know, a little bit more expensive regardless of the fabric that you get. Again, you pay a little bit of an extra premium with the Ultra fabric, which I've seen to be the case just across many of the other bags that have this type of a fabric. It's very durable. I can see why it costs a little bit more. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. You get a lot of value, but there's also going to be some other great bags in this price range that may be worth considering. And so as I was testing this out, the first bag this made me think of is GoRuck's GR1, which is one of my favorite EDC bags of all time. Definitely a little bit of a different philosophy as far as the organizational approach. It's a much more minimal and simple layout, which I am generally a big fan of. I've loved every iteration of the GR1 that I've used, and they've started to offer it in a lot of different fabrics. And so I've featured on the channel the Dyneema edition, which is probably, you know, fairly close to this one, and it's still available. They, you know, release batches periodically. GoRuck did release a Ultra version of their GR1 as part of the Kaiden Carryology collaboration, but you'll probably have to pick that up on secondhand market as they're no longer available. But Dyneema is pretty comparable also as far as having a premium price point, but very durable, weather resistant. And then they also have their Robic ripstop GR1s, which has been one that I've actually come to like quite a bit. I like that it's a little bit more of a flexible fabric, weather resistant, a little bit lighter, and not quite as expensive as Ultra and Dyneema. So, you know, if you're looking for something that's gonna offer just a nice amount of versatility, any of those fabrics is gonna look good. And then if you want a bag that has kind of this type of a vibe, but it's gonna be a little more minimal as far as the pocketing, then the GR1 is gonna continue to be one of the best options that you can take a look at. The next bag this made me think of is the Evergood CPL24, which is one of the most versatile bags that I've used. Very solidly built. I absolutely love the organizational layout that it has. The pocket system is just super functional. At 24 liters, it's going to offer a little bit more space than this one here. Very comfortable harness system, great dedicated laptop sleeve that's suspended, well padded. It's meant to be a crossover bag that can work well in the outdoors. It also has a really nice subdued aesthetic, and it's going to come in at a slightly lower price point. So if you're looking for something minimal and durable with an excellent layout, then that's going to be a fantastic option to take a look at. Another bag this made me think of is the Air City Pack Pro, which is one of my favorite tech bags of the past couple of years. I've always been a big fan of Air's modern techie vibe. It's very sleek. It just feels like it's going to work very well in an urban and professional setting. They have super comfortable harnesses, some of my favorite. And then the layout and functionality that's offered with the bag is fantastic. It's got a clamshell style opening, a dedicated and well padded suspended laptop compartment, water bottle pocket, and then just a nice amount of pockets distributed all throughout for all of your tech and EDC essentials. It also comes in at a pretty good price point for the quality and features that it offers. So if you're looking for something kind of like this, but that maybe has slightly more techie vibe, and it's going to give you a little bit more flexibility as far as the pockets, then that's going to be an excellent option to keep in mind. And then the last option that I'll mention here is the Day Pack from Dispatch, which has been one of the bags that I've enjoyed using the most over the past couple of months. Just a super functional layout, very well built. It has a dedicated and suspended laptop compartment, water bottle pockets, It's got a luggage pass-through, a nice organizational layout that doesn't go overboard. The aesthetic is kind of a cross between an Air and like a North Face backpack, so it's a modern but still functional vibe that I think works really well. And so if you are looking for an alternative to this that's gonna come in at a great kind of daily pack size with a good layout, it's gonna offer plenty of comfort, and that's gonna be an excellent option to consider. With that being said, the Axiom Pack holds up really well against all those options, and if you have a little bit of a higher budget and you're looking for an EDC backpack that's going to offer a sleek profile, excellent build quality, really comfortable harness system, and a useful layout, then that's going to be a great option to take a look at. And I'm definitely curious to hear what you all think of the Axiom Pack and how it compares to some of the other popular EDC bags that are currently on the market. And if there's any similar options that you think that I should check out, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I want to thank the company for sending the bag for me to test out, and to you guys for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.